Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is from Gaudi Mahalla Panjwa, composition of Guru Arjan. Prathame Garabh Vas te Taria, Putra Kalatra Kutamb Sang Jurya, Bhojan Anik Prakar, Bahu Kapde, Sar par Gavan Karehge Bapre. Kavan Asthan जो कभू न टरै, कवन शब्द जित दुर्मत हरै, रहाओ इंद्रपुरी में सर पर मरना, ब्रह्मपुरी निश्चल नहीं रहना, शिवपुरी का होएगा काला, त्रै गुण माया बिनस बेताला. गिरी तर धरण गगन अर तारे, रव सस पवन पावक निरारे, दिनस रैण बरत अर पेदा, सासत सिमरत बिनसेंगे बेदा. तीरथ देव देहुरा पोथी, माला तिलक सोच पाक होती, तोती डंडौत प्रसादन भोगा, गमन करेगो सगलो लोगा. जाति वर्ण तुर्क अर हिंदू, पशु पंखी अनिक जोन जिंदू, सगल पासार दीसे पासारा, बिनस जाएगो सगल आकारा. सहज सिफत भगत तत् ज्ञाना, सदा आनंद निहचल सच थाना. तहाँ संगत साध गुण रसै, अनुभव नगर तहाँ सद वसै. तै भव परमा सोग न चिंता, आवण जावण निरत न होता. तह सदा आनंद अनहत आखारे, भगत वसै कीर्तन आधारे. पार ब्रह्म का अंत न पार, कौन करे ताका विचार. कहो नानक जिस कृपा करै, निहचल थान साध संगै धरै. पार ब्रह्म का अंत न पार, कौन करे ताका विचार. कहो नानक जिस कृपा करै, निहचल थान साध संग धरै. So in this passage, what the Guru is trying to explain to us is the nature of reality and the nature of our existence, which is temporary. It comes and it passes. And our problem is that we are trying to seek permanence in what is impermanent. That's the root problem. We cling on to things that must fade away. So the question becomes, is there such a place where there is no destruction? Is there such a state which is in perpetual existence? And if there is, through what teaching or what method can we find it? So he begins in the Rahao with a question. Kavan asthan jo kabhu na taray. How and where do we find that state of perpetual existence? Kavan sabad jit durmati haray. And through what teaching can we correct our erroneous thinking? Durmati. So the question being asked is, where do I find the answer? Put another way, through what method or teaching can we rid ourselves of our conditioned state of mind, haume, which is in fact afflicted with this error? It is also afflicted with sloth and ignorance. How do we transform the mind from its default state of haume and transform it into a dynamic force that is guided by virtue, wisdom, and excellence. That is how one would tend to translate Kavan sabad jit durmat hare, Kavan asthan jo kabhe na dare. That's wisdom. And so he explains our life. Prathame Garabh Vas, Taria. The mortal comes into being as an embryo. Vaste Taria. Garabh, the holder of the embryo, the womb, and then slips out as a newborn. And once born, it becomes attached to family, to spouse, to children. That's the growing up process. Puttar kalattar kutumb sang juriya. And during this process is fed a variety of food and clothing, right? He receives not only physical nourishment, but he also receives nourishment in the form of mental structures from his environment, you see, and those are the clothes that he adorns, and not just the physical, the physical cloth that we wear, but also the mental clothing of our body, of our minds. All of this is then inherited. But the poor creature, as the Guru says, the Bapada, does not know that all this is but a passing show. So you see, that is the problem. How do we change our mindset? And then, of course, there are 3 padas, verses, one after the other, where the Guru lists out the diversity of the material plane that we are on to suggest that it is all transitory. He talks about the different realms that will perish, that are identified in Hindu mythology as Indrapuri, Sivpuri, Brahmapuri. These are physical planes. These are symbolic of physical planes. They will all perish. The structure of the 3-dimensional material existence that we call Maya is essentially unstable. You see, nahi rehna, and it will perish. So all material existence is subject to destruction. That's the first teaching that we are being taught. And then the mountains that we see, the trees, the earth, the sky, the sun, the winds, the fires, and the waters, days and nights, all the different kinds of grains, entire diversity, the scriptures and the recollections of learned minds, all of this will vanish. Bin sehega Beda. Beda is all this diversity is going to eventually perish. So therefore, pilgrimage, idol worship, religious texts, the rosary, the forehead mark, ritual bathing, sanctified kitchens. Now, these are all formal orthodox practices within Hinduism. And the Guru is saying they will all vanish. Not only that, but caste distinctions, Muslim and Hindu, animals and birds, and the many life forms, Anik Jon Jindu, all the expanse that is visible, Sagal Pasar Dise Pasara, will vanish. Binas Jaigo. Sagal Akara, all form is perishable. And now he comes to the beginning. He expands on his teaching, having emphasized that it is all perishable. Where is that imperishable state? And it is essentially a state of mind. As he says, he instructs us here how to do it. That perpetual existence, he says, Satchitana, which is free from the fluctuating errors of the mind. So you see, it is the fluctuation of our mind. So that state where such fluctuation doesn't happen, natural, and which is blissful, is to be found, first of all, through association with the Gur enlightener. Taha a-sabad-a-day. You need that association. In that association is developed the quality of devotion and love. You see, Bhagat. And the qualities of the self then emerge naturally, Sahaj Sifat. And there the virtue of the self is embodied, Gun Rasa. When that happens, that state abides in the mind, and that state is one of fearlessness. Anubhav nagar taha sad vasya. So through Guru wisdom is that state achieved. So it's that state of the mind. And there, in that state, there is no fear, there is no doubt, there is no illusion. There bhav parama sog na chitta. No sorrow, no worry. The delusion of coming and going does not arise. Avan javan mirta na hota. There is perpetual bliss. It is a place of eternity. And it cannot be described. You cannot contemplate that state. You cannot describe it. Par Brahma ka ant na par, kaun kare ta ka vichar. But, says Nanak, only through compassion of the self and guidance of the Guru Enlightener can the mind be transported to that sacred and flawless space. Kaho Nanak, jis kirpa kare, nehchal than sad sang tare. On that note, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.